Percy arose every morning around 5 a.m., 12 months out of the year. He heated his canvas tent with a wood stove in winter would wake up to brisk mornings, having to get the fire roaring again and coffee made, his breath frosty and his spirit alert. Many had hounded him to construct a more permanent shelter and switching to oil heat, yet his allegiance to the Creator ran strong, wishing to live a low-impact life and simplifying his possessions. He found the process therapeutic, shedding the possessions which once graced his life before the loss of his wife and daughter. He, like many Inuks, believed that possessions could carry ghosts with them, and often the only way to kill that ugly spirit was to destroy the item or pass it on. Percy didn't even own a CB. If you needed to get in touch with him, you had to hope you ran into him or spotted him outside his tent, which sat atop a large wooden platform to create space from the permafrost now rapidly decaying, Mother Earth howling through the lungs of the Amazon, the spirit roaring through the heart of the Southwest and the savagery of West Texas. Big Bend National Park, where at the top of the South Rim, one can look toward the border, sweatshops on the other side in a haze of smog. Acid rain patters upon the no man's land of an imaginary border and a lost tomorrow. Percy had healed much of his trauma through the use of psychedelics. A shaman who had taught him to journey had once performed a soul retrieval on him and discovered a black ball of anger being caged within. He knew nothing of dreams and everything of nightmares. He had horrible night terrors, moaning in agony as he slept. A woman he had shacked up with for a short time had mentioned he was yelling in Inupiaq while he slept, a language he knew maybe 100 words of or less. He kept a dream diary, and often instances in dreams would play out weeks, months, or even years later. It had been such since childhood. During bouts of psychosis, he had come to fear modern technology, despite his dense understanding of it, particularly weapons and computer systems. He too suffered from PTSD atop the great vat of sadness he charted within, surrounding the loss of his wife and daughter. Simplifying his life, in turn, helped simplify his mind and the manner in which he interacted with the world. The stress of monthly payments on material rubbish he couldn't take with him to the other side becoming non-feasible. He lived his life with as low as a footprint as possible, because he was one of a few people who used wood in the village. He often checked in on the elders, especially during storms or in summer months, when harvesting wood in his flatbed to help many for winter. Because of the casualties he had incurred during his time as a ranger and working in special ops, he had come to firmly believe that what's given comes back in return. Because of his violence committed overseas, he wanted desperately to be on the good side of the Creator and to live a good life of giving rather than hoarding. He had plenty of money and could live anywhere, yet chose Tulaguk because of its pace. During his years overseas, he had long dreamed of returning to his home village, his mind plastered in visions of death. It was there It was there he found peace. The old ones always appreciated an open ear, and Percy often spent time with them drinking tea and taking in their stories, teasing them even, an act of trying to bring light to a stark reality of loneliness which many elders in the village felt themselves forever ruminating in. The atrocities of the past and a generation hooked on video games, Coca-Cola, and snorts of Canadian whiskey, bathtub gin, perfume even if one was desperate enough, a toxic cycle creating marital disputes and elders and children feeling the brunt of it all, with no one to step in and mediate. The village currently had no VPSO, but on most days an officer could be on site within an hour or so as long as the weather was good. With men like Joseph, Hiram, and Percy in the community, there was more than enough of a moral code being upheld, as anyone knew these men would have nothing of hijinks. And if they ever needed backup, all they needed to do was bring in Marnita, a form of governance based upon consensus and human understandings of one hand washing the other, a mentality that and way of life, living one's life, comparable to a means carried out for centuries of the ancients. He sat in his tent that late afternoon, a mosquito coil burning and lukewarm cup of strong Lipton tea in his hand, staring into space, mind a million miles away, his conscience roaring, his heart bright. Finally, a passing thought took him into action. Reaching for his dream diary, which sat atop an old wooden blazo box he used as a side table. That morning he had forgotten to pen down his memory of the half-light nightmare from the night prior. In that dream he saw what appeared to be a cloaked wolf, with the hands like raven claws circling a campfire, and slinking and stalking two hunters. He recalled rays of a bright moon, glistening like mercury, as they flashed across his fangs in the night, moving even closer to the hunters. That was all he remembered. Then he had woken up, his heart racing. Instantly he had reached for his medication, and soon his nerves had dropped. He had not journeyed in many months, not since the remote work he had done on his brother, when he got word of him being ill. He found his urge to ascend into the lower and upper world followed stronger in the Arctic night, an ancient darkness home to ghosts and evil spirits, beings of old ones had suppressed their knowledge of for a lifetime. However, Percy had become close to an elder named Annie, who was in her 90s and could still recall stories the hunters would tell upon their returns of fresh meat and furs, tales of strange lights spotted moving from place to place across the tundra in the deep wake of night, stories of little people who had visited her village, telling the teacher they wished to learn. She had noted their use of spears and caribou parkas made from the fur around the neck of the deer. The little people were also known by the traditional name of Inuktitun, who were said to make both bad and good. Many reported of strange occurrences, such as being at fish camp, hearing pop cans being knocked over with no wind to be spoken of, the hunter hiding in his tent. Despite the church just dubbing supernatural phenomenon as satanic, the legend of the little people had persisted through the howling centuries. The moon was once regarded as the land of the dead, and even Percy had telepathically conversed with the spirit of his grandfather in a sod house on the moon, the sky dark, the lamp bright. Over time, he slowly began turning more and more into the man he was named after. Before moving home, Percy had spent a summer in Fish Lake National Forest, working at a treatment facility focused around connecting to the land and utterly isolated by miles upon miles from the nearest town.